flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
How are you? Singh?
Here.
Shipman?
Here.
Reichner?
Here.
Henry? Meister?
Need a motion to accept the minutes and reports of the Fire Department, Police Department, Treasurer, Engineer, Code Office, Public Works, Police Pension Board, Redevelopment Authority, and Planning Commission.
I'll make a motion.
Reichner?
Yes.
Henry?
Yes.
Meister? Singh?
Yes.
Shipman?
Yes.
Okay, right now we're going to put this meeting on hold and turn it over to Jamie for our CDBG public hearing.
All right, thank you. As every year, the city is an enrollment under the CDBG program, and under that program, we have to have a couple public hearings. Tonight's public hearing is to go over the program and to discuss projects that are under consideration and that have been funded in the past. The Housing and Community Development Act of 1974 authorizes entitlement communities to be awarded funding through HUD, the Department of Housing and Urban Development. In 1981, it was amended so that the states would administer this program. DCED is our state agency that administers it under PA Act 179, which governs the program. The purpose of the program is to basically assist counties, towns, townships, boroughs, cities with the opportunity to enhance viability for non-entitlement communities by targeting and funding projects that provide decent housing, a suitable living environment, and expand economic opportunities, principally for low to moderate income persons. Some of the regulatory requirements of the program are, there's an agenda up here, if anybody didn't get one, they're attached to there. They include the Fair Housing Notice, which the city has adopted, and an anti-displacement plan, which basically says that the city will not undertake any activities that are going to displace people, and if they do, they will make up for that with a one-for-one replacement of housing that is taken away by a CDBG activity. There's also a Section 3 preference statement that's on the bottom of the agenda, which defines a Section 3 resident as a person whose income is below $31,850. And a Section 3 business, which is owned by 51% or more owned by a Section 3 individual. The Section 3 is unique to HUD projects. That's basically creating opportunities for low-income people or low-income businesses through your CDBG projects. Activities that are eligible for CDBG funding include almost anything you can think of: water, sewer, streets, recreation, removal of architectural barriers, which is basically your handicap accessibility, neighborhood revitalization, demolition, economic development, any sort of public service offering. What is not eligible are things that are operating and maintenance expenses, political activities, new housing construction, purchase of equipment, except for the exception for fire equipment, and then buildings of general purpose government cannot be improved except for removal of architectural barriers. In order to be able to fund a project with CDBG money, it principally has to benefit low to moderate income persons, which means 51% or more of the individuals benefiting are low to moderate income. That's based on your HUD Section 8 income limits. You can do this by census, which right now, according to the 2000 census, the city is 53% low to moderate income. We expect to have the new income guidelines from the most recent census anytime now, 4 years after it was done. And 70% of your CDBG funds have to be used to benefit low to moderate income people. The other 30% can either be used for the elimination of blight, as the city has been doing in recent years with the Redevelopment Authority to tear down blighted properties. Or you can also use that 30% for response to an urgent need, but that basically has to be a declared emergency, and you have to be able to show you have no other funding to be able to take care of that emergency. That's not done very often. Also today at the public hearing, it's the beginning of developing your 3-year plan, which every year I update for your community development application. So today we'll be taking comments from anybody to include in that plan. Projects currently under consideration, I did distribute a list to each of you of the projects that I received. There are 7 of them. The Redevelopment Authority requested funding for improvements at Elm Street and Packer at the community garden site. The Fire Department requested funding for AED device purchases. The fire department also requested funding for some conversions for the fire hydrants. The municipal ball field requested fencing at one of the ball fields. The municipal authority requested funding for their stormwater conveyance improvement project. That is that EDA project that they're doing. The Goodwill Hose Company requested funding for a playground, restroom, and pavilion construction. And then the city of Sunbury also has funding on here to continue the Chestnut Street project. Those are the 7 projects that are currently under consideration. I'm not asking you this evening to take any action on them. We do have a scheduled project review coming up on April 7th. Are there any comments this evening on any of those proposed projects or any other projects anybody would like to add to the list? First from up here, anyone? Is there any public comment on any of those?
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
53% of the population is below the income threshold, you said.
Yes.
So in other words, if the income rose, so less than 50% were applicable, you'd lose your grants.
No, that's not true. You would
No?
still be eligible to receive the entitlement money, but what we would have to do is look at each project individually and determine who it serves and then do an income survey of those people. So a lot of the projects we do benefit citywide, they benefit everybody, so we can use that census data showing that 53% total of the city population is low to moderate income.
Okay. All right, thank you.
You're welcome. Anything else? Okay. Are there any public comments on concerns they may have regarding potential historical and environmental impacts associated with any of the projects under consideration? All right. The other thing that we have to talk about on the list is that Sunbury cannot do any of these projects until they do an environmental review. So we will be doing that for all of your projects. No funds can be committed until we do that. Previously funded projects, we've done a lot of projects in the city here. We've done, is there any comments on previously the Cameron Park project? Obviously, the riverfront had some money in it. We've done a lot of demolitions, a lot of small projects. Anybody have any comments on previously funded projects?
Oh, we're just thankful that we have that money, or we wouldn't have any projects.
The city gets the most money, the cities get the most money at a minimum of $300,000. So you guys get a lot of money and you're able to work with it. And you have the census LMI right now, so it's made it a little easier. But it really has been a
I think
benefit
we're the
here.
only, I'm not sure about Shamokin, if they have to go, they
They
get their
do.
own too?
Yes,
Okay,
Shamokin.
everybody else has to go through the county.
No, Delaware Township, Milton Borough, Ralpho Township, Cole Township, Shamokin are all entitled. It's based on population and being on the UDAG distress list from like 1981. Program income reuse I have to mention because the city does earn program income through your housing revolving loan fund payments and also through any properties that the redevelopment authority for the city sells that were demolished with CDBG funds. At this current time, we don't have any program income to reallocate. We've expended it all, so that's all taken care of. But if we do earn it, we'll pick new activities to assign it to, and I'll bring those activities to council and the public for public comment before we do that. That's required by the program. Does anybody have any final comments before we close this out?
I do.
Yes.
I noticed in your introduction, you mentioned that the origin of the program was in 1974.
Yes.
And most people don't know or were not here in 1974. But there was a president at that time who suffered greatly later, who had personal life. He had his problems like we all do. But one of the presidents, the president who was in power and lobbied for that in those days was President Nixon. There was a program that started, there were 2 programs. One was general revenue sharing, where there was an entitlement program where municipalities like Sunbury had no strings type funding. That was used to fund fire companies and everything else over the years by the city of Sunbury. And then the program, Jamie, that you described, which is now CDBG, was originally the special revenue sharing program, which then became small cities, which is now what we call it. So I just thought it was a point of interest that people should know that President Nixon was a friend of local government and has not been given credit over the years.
I was not here in 1974.
I was just a baby.
Okay, if there's no other comments, we'll go ahead and close the public hearing for this evening.
Thank you very much.
Would you like a quick update on everything else that's going on?
While you're standing there.
We'll take a second. Chestnut Street, CES Engineering has most of that design work complete. We are postponing construction a little while we work with the municipal authority to make sure that there's whatever work that needs done under the street is done first. So I spoke with Dan Raymer today, and he said they are working on scoping the lines and figuring out what needs done. And they're committed to doing whatever they need to do to make this work. So that is moving forward. And we had a meeting this morning with Councilman Henry and Mike Ordner and Barry with PennDOT Municipal Services and Jim Saylor from our Transportation Department at CEDACOG to discuss various transportation projects and funding opportunities. There are several coming up, so I'll be working with Cheryl, keeping her busy to get these grant applications in. There's one coming up that's actually due April 4th that we could apply for additional funding for Chestnut Street. So I'm going to be working on that. And then there's one coming up in June that we'll be able to use to apply for traffic signal upgrades. So I have a meeting scheduled next week with Mike Gordner and with Lee Ziegert and his traffic guy to talk about what the priorities are and where we need to go with that. So that's moving forward as well. Thank you.
That's it. Thank you. Appreciate it. Any audience comment on any of the agenda items that are before you?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, ma'am.
Regina Russell, yes, I do have a comment. At the last meeting.
Which item? Just tell me which item, please.
No, it's before you get to approve the minutes.
Oh, okay,
All
good.
right. And
What's
at the
about
last, yes, at the last meeting, I made a statement and I said that the bathrooms in this building were not up to code. I would like to publicly say that I was incorrect about that and that there are separate facilities for people with disabilities. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Is Megan here, SRI?
We want to make everyone aware of a few projects that we have going on. One is the Keystone Communities application is at ACED. They have reviewed it and have given us a response, so we're working on responding to the concerns that they see so we can flesh everything out. In addition, we're currently doing our 2014 membership campaign, so if you know anyone who would like to become a member, either an individual member or a business member, please have them get a hold of us. The River Festival Committee has just started meeting. They are dubbing this the 25th anniversary River Festival, so very exciting time. And the Albright Council is meeting regularly to seek funding partners for that SPP program, so if you know any businesses who would like to get involved, donations of any size are welcome. The Hometown Veterans Banners program is also going very quickly. We had an initial deadline of today, but we're extending that to next week as for how many we've received just today and how many calls we've received. So if you know anyone who wants to have their Veterans Banner rehung or is still looking to do an initial one, we still have some time for those to be turned in. The unveiling ceremony will be scheduled for May 17th, which is Armed Forces Day. Promotions. Our promotions committee has new leadership. Jessica Newell will be our new chair of that committee, and we're dubbing it Retail Promotions. We're trying to focus more on the merchants downtown and doing collaborative advertising. We still will have the Easter Bunny Brunch, which is coming up, and also we're working on merchant discount cards for the downtown businesses. And we also have had Bill Fontana meet with us for a board retreat to do some strategic planning, and we're working on implementing those recommendations. Lastly, Old Town Committee is seeking volunteers for new committees. So if anyone knows anyone who is concerned about the downtown, would like to get involved, next Monday there will be an organizational meeting to expand those committees to that group. Does anyone have any questions?
Just like to point out, would you tell us a little more about the planners and what we're doing different there and how we could use a few more sponsors?
Absolutely. We are doing brand new planters this year. They will be slightly larger than the ones we've had in the past, and they have internal reservoirs. so that whenever they are filled, we're currently, the city is currently watering them twice a week, which wasn't quite enough based on the wind and also the style of the planter, because the wind is going through the husk of the planters. So what we'll have is a plastic bowl basin, and it will have a water reservoir inside that, and that should allow those to have enough water to be watered, continue to be watered twice a week and actually produce much better flowering. So those are $200 per planter, and that includes the planter, the bracket, the new plantings, and the soil. So that includes everything, and if anybody knows anybody who can help to donate for those, we appreciate that. We are looking for sponsors.
So if they would just write their check for $200 SRI before they leave tonight, we would appreciate that. Thank you.
Any questions about SRI? SRI, yeah, the Community Development Authority update, we have a meeting coming this Thursday. Now that the weather's breaking, we shouldn't be up, hopefully Thursday's meeting will be able to announce what properties are going to be put up for sale, but we have some auctions coming up. We talked about it in May. I don't know if it'll be before that or not. It might be April, I guess it could be. End of April, beginning of May, but everybody will know way ahead of time which properties, some vacant properties, some homes that are also going to go for sale. So if you're not on the list, we have a list that we keep. Cheryl keeps a list of people that have been to the bidding in the past and people that want to be notified of them. So if you're not on that list, just call down to the city clerk's office and get your, I'd probably use an email address to contact it. And we'll let you know a couple days ahead of time when they are, so we have, our goal being we get a lot of people there to bid on the properties. Michael shows up at all of them and reads what the restrictions are, what we have to do before that, as far as repairing them, tearing them down, whatever it may be. So again, I'm looking for May to have a lot of auctions and keep moving the city forward. New business, permission for 5K race. Dale.
Yeah. We received a letter, an email from Angela Konecki, am I pronouncing that? Requesting permission to close off certain streets on March 14th of 2015 for a 5K run. Huh?
Not you, I apologize.
Is this somebody all new, or is this that person that did it last year, or oh, is it benefiting somebody, or?
Yeah, it's benefiting Marley's Mission, the Children's Charity.
How about the meeting streets or closed, or?
They didn't
more time?
indicate
You
on
know,
that. I don't know.
They're still working on the route. They're working with Mike.
Route's finished.
Route's finished. I don't have the new route.
How about fire police, and is that stuff all coordinated?
That all goes with the PennDOT closure.
When does it start and why?
What would be the route?
Starting on 4th Street somewhere, North 4th.
Yeah, and then out the front and down Acker to 7th, and then out 7th and Memorial Drive and back in 4th Street.
But they have to go through council for permission before they can start the PennDOT out.
Okay, yeah, this is next year. Let me bring that to your attention. We're talking next
Yeah,
year.
2015.
Yeah.
Is this the same lady, or is it individuals, nonprofit putting it on?
It's just a person doing it for this charity. It's not the same one, no.
So this would have no impact on the big one that we run in the city celebration?
No, we're in July.
Right. So what,
Do you need a motion?
you make a motion that we do that?
Does anybody have any other questions? Now I'll make a motion that we allow it.
I'll second.
Ister,
Yes.
Persing,
Yes.
Shipman,
Yes.
Reichner,
Yes.
Henry.
Yes.
Resolution municipal pension plans, contact information. Jim?
John, the only reason I have this, you were in Florida, this came in.
Okay.
This is for the non-uniform pension. The auditor said that we have to have a contact person, which should be the city clerk, which relays the information to the mayor, and the mayor brings it to the council. Are there any questions?
We have no plan as of right now, right?
No, it used to go through the treasurer's office, which was not
Okay.
proper.
All right, so that's a motion?
That's a motion.
Second.
Persing?
Yes.
Shipman?
Yes.
Reichner?
Yes.
Henry?
Yes.
Ister?
Apply for grant for rain garden and Burger King parking lot, Jim?
Yeah, the section of the parking lot which we're gonna still remain, well, we have the ownership of the whole thing, but maintain, I just wanna ask permission, I'm sure we'll write a grant for a rain garden, for funds for the rain garden in that parking lot for that project. Any questions on that?
Where does it come from, this grant? Where does the grant come from?
There's funding sources now just for rain garden, rain barrels, some big,
PennDOT or?
not PennDOT, there's another agency, I don't know offhand, I'm sorry, I'm sure this was at a seminar. I know she has the literature, she has all the forms here.
It's probably DCNR.
Thank you.
So what are the raised in that?
The rain gardens, basically detention pond, and it's, they can take the water out of the parking lot, out of the catch basin, storm water, and retain it on the property, instead of running through our sewer plant. It's
Make the flowers get bigger.
day level.
Maybe you're right, Patty, John. Depends how much water we can hold there. All right, that's for motion.
Yes.
Need a second?
Second.
Thank you.
Shipman?
Yes.
Reichner?
Yes.
Henry?
Yes.
Ister? Persing?
Yes. John, approval to pay invoices.
Okay, we have invoices to pay from the general fund, $75,948.88, and from the liquid fuels, $5,015.51. Make a motion that we pay our bills.
Second.
Reichner?
Yes.
Henry?
Yes.
Ister?
Yes.
Persing?
Yes.
Shipman?
Yes.
Tax exoneration, John.
Okay, we have 4 individuals who have applied for tax exoneration. One has already paid them, doesn't want to pay them twice. One's a student, one is a retiree, and one doesn't live here, so I make a motion that we exonerate these people from their taxes.
Henry?
Yes.
Ister?
Yes.
Persing?
Yes.
Shipman?
Yes.
Reichner?
Yes.
Audience comment. Any specific things anybody wants to talk about? Yes, sir.
Greg Saxon. I talked about cameras, camera system in the city a couple of meetings ago, and I submitted some right to know requests. And those were submitted January 31st, and the partial responses I received are a little disconcerting. So maybe you can shed some light on some of the things that I either don't understand or I think maybe could help have some additional explanation. I asked for documents indicating who is in charge of the camera system in Sunbury and who is specifically making the decisions concerning the camera systems in the city. I next asked for all records indicating any camera location in the city of Sunbury and how many cameras are in each location, along with all documents that show the serial numbers of the cameras at each camera location. And in my next request, I asked for all documents that indicate the location of any box, shield, or cover used in a camera system in the city of Sunbury, all documents that indicate the location and disposition of unused material in the camera system installation in the city of Sunbury, including cameras. And in response to the above-mentioned request, the city response was, no document exists. This response gives the impression that there's no one in charge, and the city does not know where the cameras are located, nor does the city appear to know how many cameras are located at any one location or if there are multiple cameras at any one location. The response also includes or indicates the serial numbers of the cameras in question are unrecorded. Unrecorded serial numbers open the possibility that the city may not have received what it paid for. Were the cameras in question refurbished or of a lesser value, or are they possibly used or of lesser value? And are the cameras that are now supposedly installed the same cameras the city paid for, and the cameras that were originally shipped to the city? The answer to some of those questions may never be known, but the serial numbers of the cameras in place would certainly answer some of those questions. In response to another request for all documents showing a background check of technicians involved in the installation of cameras in the city, and the documents indicating the results of background checks of the company and individuals that installed the cameras in the city For the years of 2009, 10, 11, 12, and 13, City of Sunbury response is no document exists. And it's interesting to note that the individual the city hired was subsequently arrested on theft charges, as reported in the Daily Item. City seems to have failed to exert due diligence concerning the camera installations in Sunbury. And it is interesting to note that other camera systems were installed in the city during the requested times, but the response was that no document exists. An additional right to know request city has answered to date was made for all contracts for installation of cameras or camera systems in the city of Sunbury for the years 2009 through 13, and all documents indicating who was awarded the camera installation contracts in those years and what they supplied. The city response was, I'm ready to inform you that the information you requested in the attached right to know request received February 3rd, 2014 is not available. And I guess the question on that one is, not available, does this mean the city has lost the records, or did they never exist, or are you electing not to make them available? At any rate, this raises some red flags and other questions. But again, multiple camera installations were completed in the requested time frame, and those documents lost is again an indicator of the need for self-evaluation and reform on the part of the city. I look forward to the remaining responses to my outstanding right to know requests.
Mr. Saxon, what is your interest in all this information on the cameras? I mean, why do you really need to know this? Why are you interested in obtaining all this information?
Why?
Yeah.
Well, it appears that, to be quite frank, and I'm not trying to be abrasive, but it appears that the city has been very lax, and I know that the council, many of the council members are new, so I'm not necessarily even addressing you, but it appears that the city has been very lax in their administration of this particular grant, and we're talking roughly $200,000. I'm continuing to wait for the rest of the responses, and I know Terry has plenty to do. But it appears that $200,000 of tax money in the form of a government grant has been very loosely handled, possibly mishandled. There was no due diligence on the individual that installed the cameras. If those serial numbers have not been recorded, the city doesn't really know what they got. So my interest is, I'm a taxpayer. I help to pay for that money, just like everybody else in this room. Now, Mr. Shipman, you're new on the council. I have an interest in Sunbury. I was born here, I was raised here, I have family here yet. Most everybody here knows I don't live here yet. I have property here that I manage, just outside of the city.
Oh, so it's not within the city limits?
It is not. So, I'm an area person lifelong. I was born in Marion Packard Hospital, which is long before the community was built. And I have an interest in the area, and I'm seeing $200,000 used in a questionable manner, along with other things in the city that the older members of council are aware that I'm looking at.
So your concern is not the cameras themselves, but the use of the money?
My concern is that the money was used and the value for that money was gained. Yes.
Thank you.
Sure.
Just let me give you a quick synopsis. First of all, everybody in this council, or not everybody, these three new people had nothing to do with it. This council decided where the cameras are going to go. Contrary to some of you people's thoughts where they should go, we put them where we wanted to put them. Second of all, when the police department goes out and has a drug raid, we don't tell anybody where we're going before that happens. So clearly, you're never going to see a list of where our cameras are, and surely you're never going to see a list of where the recording devices are, because we want to keep them as secret as we can, so the bad guys don't need to know where they are. And I'm not calling anybody bad guys, but that's how that is. So there's no problem with us proving every dime how it was spent, and the money how it was spent, and the documentation as far as that goes, but as to where these cameras are and why don't we put them somewhere that you or your friends think they should be. There's a reason we have them everywhere. There's things they've already solved for us. There's things they didn't solve for us, because you can't have a camera every place that there's a crime. But they have made an impact on the city already, and they will continue to do so. There are some portable ones that will be with the police department. We're discussing different ways to use them, And again, you won't know where they are either. They could be in a house across the street from your house at some point in time. That's the goal. But as far as any dimes, nickels, or quarters that you think are missing or mishandled, I will guarantee that we'll be able to show you that every dime that was spent in that grant, where it was spent. So thank you for your concern. Anybody else? Yes, ma'am.
My name's Becky Enders. I serve on the board of the largest bowl soup kitchen, and I would personally like to invite each and every member of council to come and visit us any Saturday morning for a meal and see exactly what we do. We not only provide comfort, love, concern for each person that comes through our door, we provide them clothing. And lately, we've been providing housing for a lot of them. Haven is full, and we are having trouble finding places to staff them. We have exhausted all of our funds through churches to house them. And there's a great many people crawling into sheds wherever they can find a place. And does the city have any, if we would open up a homeless shelter, is there any regulations or restrictions or anything, regulations that we would have to follow?
Well, I'm sure there is.
Well, I know there would be regulations, but.
I don't know citywide, but we'll find out, but I'm sure there's state regs that you're gonna have to abide by.
Can I just ask you, are these city people, or are they
Yes,
people
they
that are
are.
coming through? Or?
Yes, they are. And we've no longer had monies. Some of the hotels have changed their policy, and they've upped their rates, and we can no longer afford to house them. And it's gotten quite difficult to keep people under roof during these cold nights. And some of them have been sleeping outside in cardboard boxes. And you don't have to go to New York to find them. Just ask me, I'll tell you where they are.
Okay, well, thank you for your efforts. If you have time next week, if you would just call Terry, I'll meet you anywhere. I'd like to just sit down and discuss this, because clearly this is much worse than we anticipated of it.
Nobody really knows. If you would like to stop by, you could meet some of these people. They're very proud people. They've come under hard times. They've lost their jobs. Some of them have lost their homes. And because they've lost their jobs, their spouses have taken the kids. And some of them are even women. And, you know, it's just.
What time Saturday morning is this due?
We serve from 11 to 12, and we open the doors at 10:30. And we'd love to have people from the city come and talk to them about their needs.
Becky, are there homeless soldiers?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure. The thing is, a lot of them do not want to leave the city. They've grown up here, and they don't want to leave the city. We could find them housing in Shamokin, in Williamsport, but they don't want to leave their town.
Okay. Any questions? Thank you very much. Anybody else? Yes, sir.
It's a good story, and I hope she can have some good